Welcome everyone to the Wellness Project. This is October 24th, 2024, and this video is going to be in the series 4 playlist, and this is actually episode 4. And we're going to be talking today about the myths about Reiki. I am your host, Aimée Clark, and I'm the owner-operator of Earthlight Energies Incorporated. I'm a Holy Fire 2 Reiki master. I'm a practitioner as well as a teacher. And today I am joined by my lovely guest, Janet Graham, and she is the owner-operator of Spirit Answers. And for those of you who are listening to us on our podcast, Ladies #1 Detective Agency, Clearing the Paranormal, this would be in the series 1 section under episode 21. And I'm joined today by my co-host, Janet Graham. That's a whole mouthful to try to remember and say. Welcome, Janet.
Well, hello, and how are you today?
I am fabulous. We were having so much fun trying to get this set up.
I think we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to try not to disappear off the screen. This is sort of on our Ladies #1 Detective Agency. We have a category of our episodes called Tea with Janet, and we're having tea, but every time we drink our tea, we disappear off the screen. And I just said, oh, well, it's a paranormal show. So you know what? Like, what better thing to do than disappear off the screen? Anyways, we thought we would talk about the myths surrounding Reiki, about Reiki. And this came up because of a situation that happened with you, Janet. So maybe you could just give everyone a bit of background and context for this episode.
Well,
and I'll disappear while I drink my tea.
Okay, you look at you not disappearing now.
Okay.
Reiki is such a great thing to use to help people with, to just stand there and support people and just use that energy in a really awesome way. What really irks me is when people turn around and say, because they have Reiki, they can do readings. So that puts me in a pickle because you have to prove that to me.
Right. And maybe before we go any further, we could just maybe you could introduce, for people who haven't heard about you before, maybe you could talk a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I have been doing readings, and I'm a spiritual consultant. So I can see, hear, smell, feel, taste, and talk to people on the other side. Because I've done it so long, it really gets my goat when somebody claims things like, I can do readings because I have Reiki.
And also, before you go any further, what other special talent do you have?
I have many talents.
Yes, I know, but you are, because why can you talk so from such a place of authority about Reiki?
Well, because I'm a Holy Fire Reiki master.
Yes, thank you.
Because my teacher, which happens to disappear at this moment, is on my left-hand side, believe it or not. And I went to a psychic fair.
This was
recently because I was very, very curious. And somebody on my left kept saying to me, you should go, just check it out. And so she's very persuasive, just so you know. So I decided, okay, what the heck? My schedule's free. Let's go and check out these people.
Tenacious.
Tenacious. Yeah, that's a good one. So I went to this psychic fair, and I was looking around because, you feel things out. You want to feel who's got that best vibe for you, to see, who you'll connect with and who will give you a better reading. Because even though I can read, I can't read for myself. I get a feeling of things, but I want answers. Okay, because that's my tenacious side.
Mhm.
I want answers. And we both happen to be Tauruses, by the way.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yes. And so I went around and I looked at all the tables, and I was curious because there was about 3 tables that they said they were psychics and that they were doing the readings for a couple of years. So the first one I tried out, I thought, okay, yep, she's got some things really good here. Yeah, she's good. Did a short little reading with her, was very satisfied. But I'm nosy. I gotta know. I gotta know. So I went to the second one and I said, so how long have you been doing this? Just to make conversation. She says, oh, I've been doing it a couple of years. I have my Reiki, and if you can do, you know, if you do Reiki, you can read people. And the first 3 minutes, the stuff coming out of her mouth was so far-fetched. There was no way that was. And the more she talked, the more I shut down. And after 5 minutes, I believe it was 5 minutes, I stopped her because she told me things like I would be moving to another province and I'd be hanging around with women that like to argue all the time, and that she just passed me the Reiki signs, so now I can do Reiki anytime I want.
Now that's the part that I was pretty shocked about, but we'll get back to that. Continue your story.
And then she says, well, if you do Reiki, you can do readings. So me being the person that I am, removed my hands from her hands because she wanted to hold my hands and told me she passed on the signs to me. I was a little pissed, just a little. I didn't break anything or throw anything, which was really good. I thought I did good. So I said to her that, you know, I've been doing this work for over 30 years, and my problem is I'm also a Reiki master, so I know you don't get these gifts from being a Reiki master. When you're a Reiki master and you're working on people doing the Reiki, you'll pick up things from that person, little thoughts here and there, but you're not going to do a full reading. It's just miniature little things. And to be so far off, it was so disturbing. When I got home, I called Aimée and said, we got to do a podcast about this
Yes.
because this is really pissing me off.
Mhm.
And she was going, what? And so we had a good little discussion about this, and that's why we are here today.
Yeah, and I'm glad that I mean, it's good that you went for lots of reasons, right? And then this
Yeah.
information comes up and it kind of tied into, I think I had just finished teaching a class that weekend, and I always talk about some of the, weird things that people say about Reiki and what people think Reiki is. So it was like, wow, okay. I mean, it's been a while since then, because we were having trouble with our schedules trying to get together, but I think it is a good time to talk about it. Excuse me. Not only was there, so there were two kind of red flags there. Sure, there's people who have who are already really gifted. Some of it is hidden underneath there because they aren't really aware of it or haven't had any avenue to use those gifts or those tools that they naturally have. And we all have some level of it. And definitely the Reiki will enhance that and will open up the doors for that and open the gifts for that. I mean, I've seen transformation in classes But as I always say to my students, those are like bonus things if that happens. Reiki is about the energy and the healing part of it. Those are like the other aspects or the gifts that are the Reiki energy is opening up for you, and each person is unique and different. So sure, there are lots of people who end up getting their placements or attunements for Reiki, and all of a sudden it opens up the gift of being able to do readings for people and stuff like that. I don't know that it's that instant. I haven't experienced that. They either have already had sort of that gift, but they've never really practiced it. And then it just becomes quite apparent. But for someone to believe that because they took a Reiki course, they automatically are a psychic who can do readings, that's pretty far-fetched, and that's a pretty loaded thing. We don't know the background of that person, or how they were taught, or what their Reiki master said to them. It could be their own beliefs, who knows, right? But I think regardless of all of that, it's just really important for people to understand that the Reiki might have helped to bring that out and do it, but it doesn't give you that. You're not getting a placement or attunement to be able to do psychic readings. You're getting a placement or attunement to open up your chakras, et cetera, to actually be able to use the Reiki energy.
True. But to be that far-fetched and to say, I just passed on
Oh,
the
I
Reiki
was like
signs to
freaking
you.
out when you told me that. I was like,
I just
oh,
pulled my hands away so fast. And I
there's
told her,
so many things wrong with that.
exactly. I said, well, thank you, but I don't need them. And
No permission,
no permission was given,
no explanation.
nothing. And just to assume. And you know what happens when you assume. And I told her I'm a Holy Fire Reiki master, and she had no right to do that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say that people should be more clear when they're doing readings or assuming that if they have Reiki, they can do that. No, I'm sure it's going to bring out that in some people, but it wasn't very professional at all. I was very, very disappointed in that woman.
Well, and I mean, when it comes to energy too, I mean, one of the things that, people get sick and tired of hearing me say it, but you have to protect your field.
Yeah.
You have to protect your energy. And the last thing you want to be doing is passing on anything in your energetic field or from you to somebody else. You don't ever want to do that. And there was no permit, like she didn't ask, there was no permission whatsoever, which is in such a violation
It
of
is.
so many different things. And what if she had something on her and some, unsuspecting person? Oh, sure, give me that. And then what did they just get? Like some entity attachment or some negative energy or some kind of, implants and stuff like that. So it's so important. And especially right now, like those negative energies are just on the rampage right now, waiting for any opening to come in and wreak havoc on people's lives. So the lack of understanding of, oh, well, and I don't believe she was even a Reiki master.
No, I don't believe she was.
Right.
She had a level 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But the other thing, like before you say, well, why didn't you know? You're a spiritual consultant. I'm going to tell you that sometimes you do something out of compassion. I felt sorry for her because she had no clients. Nobody was coming to her. And I thought, okay, this is going to be my little second, 20-minute reading. So let's see where it goes. And, you have to pay in advance and everything else like that. But so I ended up doing a 10-minute reading on her.
Yeah.
And when I did that 10-minute reading on her, like her life is not good. She's going through a really rough time. And so maybe the reason why I had to pick
Maybe you
her
had to be there
was to
help
her.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to the myths around Reiki, though, yeah, And it's important that people understand that, because I don't want people to think, oh, well, I don't want to go near that person. They have Reiki. They're going to do something to me without me knowing about it. You
Yeah.
can't ever,
No.
you can't ever give anybody Reiki unless they have given you permission. And the beauty of Reiki, though, is that it, if you don't have permission, it respects free will. It'll just kind of hover you around, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to do anything. However, what if what's combined in there isn't Reiki?
Exactly.
And it is looking for a wormhole in there to do something. So, yeah. And then unfortunately, when there's those kinds of things being said, especially for somebody who is in front of the public like that, oh, this is what Reiki, then people show up thinking, oh, wow, I'm taking Reiki class because I want to become a psychic. I want to be able to do readings. Doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
So, and there's so many, like when I think about class and some of the things that I teach, and I certainly don't know every single thing about Reiki, but I certainly know my Reiki master said to me, hey, this is the way I learned Reiki. I know I don't have it all right. You continue your journey and try to find out as much as you can. And I pursued that. I went through the International Center of Reiki training. And I remember once I was a Reiki master, went for my Karuna Reiki class in Upper New York. It was the very first time that I met William Rand and a couple of his registered teachers there. And there were 25, 30 people from all over the world. And everyone had to be a Reiki master in order to attend this class. Well, I'm telling you, I had to unlearn everything that I knew about energy and about Reiki, because a lot of the information I had, even though we were using the International Center for Reiki Training manuals, some of the information I had been given just wasn't accurate or true. Or, and I remember asking William that question, I had so many questions for him, but yeah, does anybody know?
Surprise, surprise.
But there were some things that and he said, there are very few rules around Reiki. People make stuff up. And it's, or somebody makes them believe something, so they take that on as the truth. Now, it's really important to sort of say, some of these people are repeating this information, believing it's the truth, because they don't know any better. So it's not like they're purposely trying to do that, but someone has given them information and said, well, it's got to be this way. This is a rule around Reiki. I know one of my students, she already had her level 1 and she came to see me to do her level 2 training. And she said, when she registered and everything, she said, well, I talked to my old Reiki master and she told me I needed permission from her to take your class.
Whoa.
And I went, well, I think that's an ego thing on her part, because,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it was a him or her, but I said, absolutely not. You can take Reiki classes from as many Reiki masters as you want. And why would you not? I mean, William did that because then you learn all these different things, right?
Exactly.
Excuse me. Now, having said that, once you take a holy fire class, it's really important that if you're going to take more Reiki classes, that you do it with holy fire, because it's a different stream or channel of energy. And Reiki respects free will. So if you go and take it a different style of Reiki that has a different energy attached to it, then you're consenting to that lower vibrational energy.
True.
And yes, I'm not trying to say one's better than the other. It's not a competition out there that way. I mean, there's lots of people who practice Reiki using the Usui energies, and they're beautiful Reiki masters doing beautiful work. I think it's the intention and how they're connecting. But the reality is the holy fire energy is a much higher vibrational energy. That just is. So if you decide to step out of that, then you're accepting a lower vibrational energy. But that's okay. I mean, that's your path, that's your choice, right?
Exactly.
So, and I just try to think about some of the other things that I've heard about Reiki. I know I had some people come and do a class with me, and someone had taken there's so many, it seems that the Usui Reiki system, and there's others out there, but let's use this Usui as an example. People have branched off and deviated from that and created their own type of Reiki system for whatever reason. So these two people that came both had the same, under the same style, but the person who created the style of Reiki had actually channeled in a being.
Oh,
Now, this was not a a good being, so there was a lot of work to clear and to before we even could take the class. So I think anyone who's taken a Reiki class, you got to, and unfortunately, the problem out there now too is there's so much information on the internet. What's true, what's not true? Well, just go inward and ask, and listen to whatever messages you're getting. Does it ring true to you? I mean, there's lots of information I got about Reiki, and I was like, I don't believe that. And then, either it proved to be right or it proved to be wrong, just depending on what it was. So you have to be your own judge of, is this information seem right? But people need rules, they need structure. So it's hard in class. And I go, well, there's no rules. There's no rules. That's why I love teaching kids, because they just, the energy just comes in and they just do it. We have all these blocks and think that, yeah.
well, because we grow up with rules, right?
Yeah.
So we create more rules.
Well, and I was listening to a show the other night and they were talking about how the whole medical system changed. Actually, there's some information off that show I'd like to do as a separate podcast to kind of, tag with what they were talking about, because they were talking about energy and healing. And the whole medical system that we have now was created by a multimillionaire in the, I can't remember what,
Yes, I
early
read that.
century.
I do believe I read that.
Rockefeller, one of them.
Yeah.
And he created it so that he could get rich on pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
And at the time, there were actually naturopathic universities.
Mhm.
And whatever they did, so that was the start of the bad media press stuff, where they would start to say that, oh, this is, this stuff, if you do this naturopath stuff, it's going to kill you. That's not what they said, but
No,
but the whole marketing was around to squash that so that this allopathic way of doing medicine could thrive. I was just surprised, so shocked. And the thing is, we wouldn't have that in our history, because they make that now the natural way for us to accept it. Well, that's just the way it is. That's the better way, our medical system that we have. But they just made sure that all the stuff that was working before, let it die out, or they suppressed it, or they,
well, look at the advertising.
yeah.
Make them feel like they need this, and this is the
Mhm.
feel good thing, right? That we need to get back to the basics again. We need to get back to the natural stuff.
Well, and the thing is, like, they were talking about healing technologies that, and as soon as they became successful and proven that they could cure things, or even natural, like I'm thinking even of SEAC, was it the lady in Bracebridge? Remember the nurse who developed that tea, SEAC?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it had some mushrooms and stuff in it,
Yeah.
that helped to cure cancer. She was giving people this, she had her own
Yeah, she made it up.
recipe.
Yeah.
And she had such success with it. And they tried many times, these pharmaceutical companies, to come in and get her stuff. And she just said, no, you're not having it. And yeah, anyway, I know we're kind of deviating from Mystical Reiki here, but that just came to mind. So when it comes to truth, though, some of that truth that we believe, we've been taught that is the truth,
Mhm.
and we don't question it. Whereas if you go back in history and you look at some of this stuff, you find out that wasn't the truth at all. They made it the truth, and they taught that to us as the truth. And anything outside of that is not the truth.
Exactly.
So yeah, back to this whole myth about Reiki. So what are some of the other things that you've heard in regards to Reiki that people have thought or said?
Well,
Either from as a practitioner or as a person receiving Reiki.
Well, some of the myths are, that one was the only one that really irked me, because there's no truth in that whatsoever.
Mhm.
You know, for me to sit down and do a reading with a person, just look at that person and read them. Okay, that's totally different. I could do it. That's one of the gifts that I have, and I'm very, very lucky to have it. I feel so blessed. But to state that, oh yeah, I can do Reiki, so I can read you, no problem.
Yeah, no. And
No,
I mean, and like I said, that will open the gifts up for people. People do naturally have it. And not all readings are done the same way.
no.
So
And every
some
reading
people
is
use
different.
tools, right?
Yep.
Some people need something that a person owns, or they can do tarot readings, or, they get dream visitations or messages
Exactly.
as they're walking along.
That's why every
Or
reading is
peeps that
different.
shake their head this way and that way.
Uh-huh. Wonder who that is.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
so,
but I think that's the one that really got me the most, because there's no truth in that. And if anything, like honesty, and you know us, we have to have the truth. We have to be authentic. And if we're not telling that truth, or even if it's a little fib, it always comes back to bite you in the, you
mhm,
know what?
yeah. Yeah, and I think the other thing too, when it comes to doing readings and Reiki, just as a side note, as a member of the Canadian Reiki Association, if someone comes in for a Reiki session, I'm not allowed to pass on any messages that would seem like they're psychic messages. Now, when you do Reiki on a person, and everybody is different, and I never know when I'm teaching a class how it's going to come up for people, but they're getting information from their energetic field.
Right.
Either how that feels, hot, cold, it feels shaky, it feels vibrating, it feels pokey. Like that energy has all kinds of different feelings around it, right? It
Yep.
could feel really dense, it could feel really light and
Prickly.
effervescent. Yeah.
The prickly, especially when you got something on you, you feel
Yeah.
all that prickly.
Yeah. So that's information. And then
Yes.
people might pick up messages. And I don't want people to doubt what they're getting. Like if you're getting something, there's ways that you can convey it to the client. You can say, oh, does it make sense if I said that this happened? Or does it make sense that, there's a way to work it into the conversation? But it's about what's coming up in the session that's important for the client for their healing process. It's not a reading. So
Exactly.
going back to the Canadian Reiki Association, it doesn't matter if you're a psychic and you have um, Reiki, you can still do readings for people. You just can't do it during the Reiki session.
Right.
And I've had like when I first moved back to North Bay and I was doing Reiki sessions on people. And I remember doing an event and people were just coming in. It was free Reiki sessions, short sessions. And I think out of like 7 people, 6 of them just looked up at me after the session. Like, wow, that was nice. What messages did you get from me? And I was like, first of all, even if I did get messages, I can't tell you. And secondly, it's not what it was about. It was about, this isn't about a reading. This is about coming in and getting this beautiful, relaxing
Energy.
session
Yeah.
for you. So, and I mean, there's some really talented Reiki masters out there who are also readers, but they shouldn't be combined like that.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yes, I know. I hear it all the time.
Yes, Reiki shares.
Janet, just do Reiki. Not readings, Reiki.
Well, and I mean, sometimes we get the messages, right? So, and the way I get around it in my practice is that I'll pick up information. Some of it I can share with the person. I know I usually have a pretty good idea what I can say to a person, what I can't. And then I do consults with you.
Mhm.
And my clients know that. But it's not the same as a reading. All I'm doing
No.
is here's my questions, you know, I have an idea how many sessions this person needs, where this needs to go to help them heal. I'm picking up past life stuff. Can you give me some information that's going to, and then that way I can go back to the client and say, okay, here's what I picked up. This is what Janet either confirmed or added to or said, no, this is something else. And I find that is really helpful for a client to
Yeah.
kind of make sense of what's going on in their lives, right?
Exactly.
But it also then helps me because then I know what direction. I mean, I usually know anyway. We usually have a little competitions about.
Yeah, yeah. We always have a competition. Oh, yeah.
Well, competition's the wrong word, maybe, but just like
It's a game.
it's a game.
It's a game.
This is what I got. What did you get?
Yeah, exactly.
Do we get the same thing? Well, you need confirmation, right? So,
Everybody needs confirmation, though.
mhm.
Why do you think, somebody who reads people wants to go someplace else for somebody to read them? Because they get a sense of things coming for them, but they can't see what's coming for them.
Yeah, and I think in your case too, I mean, you have so many friends that have psychic abilities.
Yeah.
But they're your friends,
They're my
right?
friends,
So
yeah.
you want to make sure that the information they're getting is not coming from the human side of themselves, mixing in with the spirit side of themselves. And
Exactly.
sometimes that can be a little hard too, because it's like you want something for the best of somebody, or you don't
Yeah.
want them to have some news that's not great. But yeah. Well, and I think I'm just thinking about some of the other things around Reiki that I've heard, coming in. Some people, their Reiki level 1, they get a symbol. So the symbols are all over the internet. And I've heard people say, well, why do I need to do level 2? The symbols are there. I can just use them. So what do you think about that, Janet?
Because you can't just, okay, so you're going to go to karate class and see the karate. That's that sign that goes with the second level. Are you gonna, let's just do that sign and you got this? I don't think so. I don't think so. There's teaching that has to go, and there's understanding. You have to be able to understand why you're doing this and what position you want to be in when you're trying to help this, and what you want to look for. And it's like there's so many little details that are so important to learn.
Well, yeah, and the symbols have purpose. They have
do.
energy, so you need to understand what the purpose and of that symbol is, what it's doing, what the energy, the frequency of it is. But the other thing is that they're useless to you because you have to have a placement or an attunement in order
Exactly.
to activate them. And if someone else is just giving you the symbols, or you're looking at them
Well-
online, you could be picking up some entangled energy from them.
Well, the karate, you take that, oh, let me go to class. Oh, there, I took care of you. Oh, whack, there you go, you're on the floor. Going, what the hell happened?
Oh,
The
that's
sign was
funny.
supposed to work,
Mhm.
but there's more to it. There is
Mhm.
always more to it. It's deeper, it's a little more intense. But when you go through the Reiki classes and you get your levels and you understand, how much and how good this feels, because as you're giving Reiki to that person and setting that space aside for them, that Reiki is coming back to you too. So it's helping you as well.
Yeah. And I mean,
So-
I've heard lots of negative stories around Reiki too, and we can touch on that in a moment. But
I've heard some,
the
but I
other
can't
thing-
tell you about them.
oh,
Not, no.
okay. So the other thing about symbols, sometimes people come in with level 1 and they're under the UC system and they already have a symbol. It's usually the power symbol they get. And it mystifies me. I don't know why they're getting a symbol in level 1, because the symbols are meant for level 2. So, and then sometimes those symbols are drawn differently. So, for example, and I think I touched on this in my interview with Chantel Breton, we were talking about one of the symbols. If we didn't, I'm not repeating it. And it is in that episode, then I'm repeating it. But so she had the distance symbol that she was using, that she was taught. Now hers was a bit different style of Reiki, so that's fine. And she was helping me in a class one day and she said, your distance symbol is slightly different than mine. is it okay if I practice using this one just to see if energetically it's different? And she went, wow, it really is different. So I told her I'd give her a placement for those symbols so that she would have them fully, right? So there is, even now, some of the symbols, especially because Takata sensei, the way she taught, sometimes the symbols weren't the same. So as you go into the different lineages, they might be slightly different. Does that make them less effective? If you got your attunement or placement through a Reiki master, no, because they're still effective. They just have a different frequency. So that part's okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. But some of the other things, like I had somebody show up one time at a Reiki share, and she came with she was a Reiki master. She came with a friend of hers that had level 1. I was teaching that day a Holy Fire class, a master class. So there were 2 of us, and we came in, and it was just really funny the way it all worked out, because I just said to my student, oh, I forgot to cancel the Reiki share because I'm teaching today. And I said, oh, it's okay, because no one said they were coming anyway. And then the doorbell rang at my studio, and there were 2 ladies there, and they said they were there for the Reiki share. And I said, perfect timing. We're on break. I'll get you guys set up in my room. I'm teaching down the hall. Stay as long as you like, and you guys can do Reiki on each other. So as we go into the room, though, I'm not going to go through all the details, but basically her energy was affecting me so terribly. I said, I'm going to have to get you on the table because I got to clear you. There's something really, really not great about your energy field. And she said, well, yes, that's why I'm here. She said, I have the ability to heal people instantly, but then I get whatever they have for 30 days. I said, what?
Wow.
I said, well, and I got permission from her to ask William Rand about it. And I said, well, did your Reiki master not ever teach you how to clear your field? And I said, that's not normal. So
No.
I don't want people to think there's a whole thing around that as well. Like Reiki will help people naturally raise their own healing abilities, and you're channeling that energy, but you are not healing that person.
No.
That's so important for people to understand. You are not doing it. You're facilitating the process, right?
Exactly.
And for her to then be taking something on, told me right away she had an entity attached to her that was giving her the power of, to think of it, deal it with the devil.
Yeah.
So it gave her the ability to do it, but the offside of the deal was, okay, I'm going to let you do this, but you're going to pay for this by taking this on for 30 days.
No, that.
So, in the end, it didn't turn out all that well, because I did pass the information on to her, and it did, it did upset her, because for her, in her mind, she's doing something really good for people. So how can you take that away? But not
Exactly.
understanding that you can still help people
Yeah.
in a very positive way.
Yeah.
Your job isn't to heal anybody. That's a very ego-based, negative energy-based thing. I mean, are there people out there that can channel that energy and cure people? Because curing and healing are 2 different things. Sure, that's very rare.
Yeah.
But when it comes with a negative aspect, then you know right away that there's something wrong there. And I knew anyway, just energetically, because of what I was picking up from her. It was the hardest Reiki session. I didn't even know if I could stay in the room. It was so,
Wow.
I was like a jackhammer, energetically and physically, doing battle with this energy that was on her. I mean, she felt a lot better. It took 10 minutes. And then my student that was with me, like the thing attached itself to me, and it attacked me. So I had to call one of my friends, because I was teaching, and said, can you clear me? Because I thought maybe through class I could clear it. And the person I was teaching could actually, she goes, yeah, I just felt it in your heart area. And that's when the person cleared me. They said, yeah, it was like clung right into my heart chakra area. And we also have to understand, like, this is our heart chakra, but we also have an 8th chakra there. That's our soul center. So where is it attacking? The soul center.
Of course.
Right. So that didn't end too well. But I mean, again, discernment, right? If
Mhm.
you're paying for it through your own physical health and well-being, then something is sapping the life force energy out of you.
Exactly.
You're not protecting your field. You got to be careful.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was an interesting episode.
Anything else? Any other stories that you've heard about?
Well, I have heard some stories but I can't say them here.
Okay.
It has to be private, um, because they're intimate stories about what they did with Reiki during intimate moments that escalated things to a point like they passed out after, and they were in such a relaxed mode that they couldn't do nothing for like 12 hours.
Oh my God. Okay, you are gonna have to tell me that one later. Yeah, and I mean, I've heard people, I mean, Reiki has been corrupted. I mean, that is the truth of it.
It is,
And I
exactly.
remember being on a forum. So I belong to Energetic Synthesis. I'm a member of that forum, and Lisa Renee is the caretaker of that forum. And I know there is a lot of posts on there about Reiki and people's experiences, really negative experiences where they were getting attacked. So, excuse me, I think part of it is the Reiki masters they're energetically weren't clear when they were, it's the way the attunement process was done as well. It opened people up for attachments and attack. And I think when you have Reiki where they, channeled in a being to be the caretaker of that energy, well, now you've taken it out of those that angelic godly God consciousness stream, which is where Reiki comes from.
Exactly.
And then you're moving it. So anything can be corrupted. I mean, energy is energy. So yes. So again, and a lot of people innocently took these classes, not realizing that they were also now having this parasitic negative energy attacked, and they were having experiences. But the way I looked at it, well, the good part is they recognized it.
Exactly.
And they knew. But then instead of, like, I think if your intention is pure, if you are protecting your space, clearing your field, and you're asking for only the highest and purest beings to come through, asking your ego to step aside, asking only for that, well, for us, it's the holy fire energy or the Reiki energy, and you're doing it from the heart, then are you still going to get attacked? Probably. I mean, sure, I'm not saying that isn't all of a sudden I'm in the light and I'm protected, nothing can touch me. That is so wrong. But if you're doing it from that place, then why wouldn't it be working? Why would you not then be facilitating positive
Absolutely.
energy for a person? So, and I don't know all the details for some of the people that were reporting back about their experiences with Reiki. I know my own experience with Holy Fire 3 was a nightmare, which is why I went back to Holy Fire 2, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, I'm just trying to think about some of the other. I think the key is if people tell you there's a rule around Reiki, well, what makes the way that William said, well, why is that rule being said? Like, what supports that rule? If you can't find anything to support the rule other than someone just said it, then question it.
Exactly.
And see how that works. But
Exactly.
yeah. Anything else you wanted to?
No, I feel better now that I,
got that all
I got
out.
it all.
Well, and I think, one of the things that you've been doing is helping people to mentoring people who have different skills and abilities with mediumship and psychic abilities and knowingness. And that's been really, really helpful for everyone.
Well,
because it gives them a
it's
safe
fun.
place.
Exactly.
You give them a safe place to talk about it. And you give us interesting exercises to do, even if we don't want to do them.
Or
Or
somebody
feel,
tries to cheat
well, I
when
wasn't
she's
cheating.
doing it.
I wasn't cheating.
You were
That's
using
right.
spirit. You weren't supposed to use spirit. Here she is just using spirit.
I thought that's what we were supposed to do. Anyway, so, but that mentorship has been really helpful. So I think there's so much information out there now.
There is.
So it's great in one way because it's raising awareness about, there's so many TV shows and out there now where they're talking about psychics and mediumship, and some of it's right, some of it's wrong, but at least it's out there. And then it's all about it. If you have the wrong information, but you're curious and you're exploring, it's going to lead you to the path that you need to be on anyway, in front of the people that you need to be.
Exactly.
And some of it is just good stepping stones onto something else.
Asking a spirit to bring in your soul family, asking spirit to bring you in the right teachers to help you, because you'll be amazed at how all of a sudden you meet this person and this person does this and this person does that. And it's like, and they lead you to another person. And that sometimes just leads you to that teacher.
Yep.
And it's not somebody that wears a big old hat and earrings all over the place and tons of jewelry. It might be just an ordinary looking woman.
Yep.
That just knows.
Well, and I think too, I think about when I started doing Reiki, 17 years ago. Has it been that long? Almost.
You're old.
I know. But some of the people I knew as Reiki masters, they had already been practicing for 20 some years, some of them 30 years.
Wow.
And I think about how dense the energy was back then, because I think being a student now with the energies we have now, I mean, it's amazing. It's instant. It's so, that's a whole other topic. But the point is that they often hid that they were Reiki masters and that they were doing Reiki because they didn't want to be ridiculed. They didn't want to be, put down for, or people to dismiss what they were doing. So, I mean, I was always very open about it. I did Reiki at work. I told people I was a Reiki master. I got laughed at until they had a headache and needed, But that aside, and yeah, there is a lot of misinformation out there. There's so very few rules when I teach Reiki. It's just, yeah.
But when you teach Reiki, it's so different from the first person that taught me to when I came into the master program. That was so different. Your style was more relaxed and casual, and the information sunk in, because people like me, we get very anxious about doing classes and trying to make sure that we get it right, because we want to get it right. And with your class, I found that it was different because there wasn't that nervousness. It was just like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. And okay, just look at it. Yeah, and then you directed us in a really positive way. So it was like,
I get to lie down and sleep for
exactly. Oh, wow. I get to lay on the table again.
Get all this beautiful healing energy.
It was wonderful. Like, that's
Thank
like
you.
my favorite class.
Well, teaching the master class is my favorite class to teach. I mean, I love teaching level 1 and 2 too, because it's just magical to watch the transformation of people, but it's very academically intensive, whereas the master class is all about the energy and experiences. And yeah, so that's very cool.
Like, make sure you get yourself a teacher that you can talk to, relax with, and somebody who's going to answer your questions and not, make you feel like you're because you don't know. Well, you're asking because you don't know.
And I think right now, especially, so I think 2 important things. One is everything you need right now is inside you. So yes, it's sometimes we need to go to, you take a Reiki class. I mean, you have to have a Reiki master. It's just the way it is right now anyway, in order to get the energies. But, when you're working, you don't need to follow gurus. You don't need to put these, and I already had that experience and, had my lesson around that. So you don't have to go outside yourself to solve all your problems. You might need someone to lead you and guide you either through therapy work or whatever that may be, pain management, but everything you have is inside yourself.
Absolutely.
So you might need that information to guide yourself into, but just going inward, just, meditation, asking for guidance from spirit.
Yeah.
After you 12D shield and protected your space and all that.
Shield up.
Shields up. So that's the first part. And now I forgot the second part when it came to me as we were talking. But yeah, so the first, if it might come to me before we close here, but yeah, everything is inside ourselves, and we don't need gurus to follow or processes to follow other than having some spiritual practices that we embody. And even people think meditation is like, I can't do an hour meditation, my brain's too busy, blah blah. Do it for 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Take a walk and be in a meditative state.
Exactly.
Sit there and stare at the sky or the scenery, and
hug a tree.
Hug a tree. They have beautiful energy.
Hold stones in your hands.
Yes.
Pick them up off the ground. Make sure the dog didn't pee on them. But hold the stones in your hands. Okay, simple little things.
Oh, I remembered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know that you're gonna go with that. It had no connection, but so right now there are probably more Reiki masters and people with level 1 and 2 that we could even imagine, because there was a big trend on where everybody was taking Reiki, right? And they didn't know what they were doing other than, oh, sounds like a great thing. I want to be able to heal myself, heal others. And they take it, they don't incorporate it, and then it goes by the wayside. But the thing is, you always have your Reiki energy unless you say, I don't want this anymore, because it respects free will. So what I'm doing a call out here to everyone who listens to this. If you have Reiki, and it doesn't matter if it was 10 years ago, 2 months ago, 20, 30 years ago, that you have not used your Reiki energy, start to ask for it again. Start to bring it back into your life, because you're needed right now.
Exactly.
And do it for yourself. And if you don't want to practice or do anything and give Reiki to anybody, you don't have to, but send it out to the planet, because we need it right now.
Exactly. Exactly. With all the kerfuffle going on all over the world, we need to send that out and send it in, straight from your heart.
Yep.
So,
and it's there. So just take a minute at the end of your week, the end of your evening, just take 5 minutes, call your Reiki energy in. So people say, okay, I can't remember how to do that. So you're going to put your hands in Gasho. You're going to ask that the Reiki energy start to flow from the highest and purest source. You're going to ask that only the highest and purest beings be present, and that this be a deep healing session, either for the world, for yourself, for whoever you want to do. However, remember, you can't send Reiki to anybody without permission. So if you're sending it out to the world, just put a little statement in there for whoever who's willing to receive it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Aimée.
This was fun.
It always is.
I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will say ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta for now.
Have yourself a fabulous day or evening wherever you are.